Hi, everyone. I think we can get started. We're very excited that you're all joining us for the Module 5 webinar today. My name is Laura McFeely. I'm a program associate here at Interise, and I'm joined by Laura Lee Fortinsky, who a lot of you have seen around the alumni network on Interise Connect, and also Laura Scarlett Tavares. So a bunch of Lauras over here at Interise. We are the national curriculum provider for the Emerging Leaders program. So we provide the binders and all of your wonderful local instructors. And Marty Shea will be leading our webinar today. He's been an instructor for the Emerging Leaders program since 2011, and he actually taught 2 Los Angeles classes this year, in addition to being an instructor support coach for Interise. So he is very busy and has a ton of experience, and we're really excited to see what he teaches us all today. So Marty, take it away.
Well, thank you very much, Laura, and hi, everybody. I hope you guys are all doing well. Everyone's graduated. 3-year plans are ready to move forward. It's exciting, and gosh, I'm just happy to be here with you guys today, and I appreciate you taking an hour or so of your time so we can spend on the topic of leadership. How we take our companies as leaders to the next level. And before we get going, full disclosure here, I do not do webinars, and this is weird. I can't see anybody, and it's driving me crazy. I can see the slides, and I can see a reflection of myself, and I can tell that I'm not in the running for the Tom Cruise lookalike contest winner. But anyway, we're going to have some fun. We're going to get going with this thing. My intention is to get your minds wrapped around the concept of leadership and maybe throw some ideas or thoughts out there at you that may have you think a little differently on how you're going to lead your company to the next level. We're going to divide the webinar into 2 segments, really. The first one is going to be focused on what the heck is leading on purpose? What does leading on purpose look like? We'll spend some time on that. At the end of that segment, we'll tie it up, and if there's questions regarding what you've just heard or seen, we'll answer them now. If there's not, we'll keep moving forward, and we'll move on to the second segment, which is really tied into what I call the foundation of your business, and I really refer to it as the 3 bricks, which would be your vision, mission, and core values. Everything that you build upon your business is centered around those. So we'll talk about how to develop those, and maybe more importantly, how to make them stick in your organization. The webinar itself is really the information I'm going to throw at you guys. It comes from my experiences. I am the founder of a restaurant company based in San Francisco way back in the 1980s called Specialties Cafe and Bakery. We opened our first location in 1988. And Chinatown, or at the foot of Chinatown in the financial district of San Francisco, in a dingy little storefront, made it work pretty well, spent 20-plus years building an infrastructure, team, processes, and systems that allowed the company to expand to its current 60 locations up and down the West Coast, and we are also out in Chicago and in full expansion mode. So a lot of experiences from that, a lot of experience that I'm going to relay from my mentors, from coaches, consultants, a lot of experience from research, readings, and workshops, and not webinars, but workshops like this. But maybe more importantly, some of the experiences I've had from my failures. And I could spend a whole webinar on all the times I've screwed up over the last 20 years as a leader who led my company forward. So why don't we just jump right into this, and I'm going to bear with me as I click the slides. The first one, what I want to do right now is just define leadership for us. As soon as I can get that slide, there we go. John Maxwell. I love John Maxwell. Everybody knows who John Maxwell is. He's written more books on leadership. It seems every other week he comes out with a new one. But what I love about Maxwell is he keeps the concept of leadership simple. And when he was asked to define leadership, he said this, simply, leadership is influence. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And that's what I love about Maxwell. So what is we go forward and you look and say leading on purpose, well, that's a catchy little title. What is leading? What the heck does that mean? What does leading on purpose means? Well, my definition of leading on purpose is simply this. It's the capacity, your capacity as a leader to influence, and there's that word again, influence, the capacity to influence others by unleashing the potential and power of people. As you lead your organizations to the next level, your ability to do that effectively will depend on your talents, your ability to unleash the potential and the power of the people that are going to help you get there. So that is what leading on purpose looks like at this point. So how is this presentation going to make you a more influential leader? If Maxwell says leader is influence, how is this going to help you make you more of an influential leader? Well, first, we're going to speak on how to spot purposeful leadership, not only in yourself, but in others. As you grow your company, you are going to bring others into leadership positions in your company, and how do we spot purposeful leaders? We're going to talk about the difference between management and leadership. Many of you are managing your business right now, and you're not necessarily leading, so there will be a transition coming up very soon as you execute those 3-year growth plans. Third one is identifying your why. Why the heck do you do what you do? What gets you up every morning to do what you do? What is your purpose? We're going to help you. I'm going to throw out some ticklers for you that may help you identify your why. Leadership is not a one-size-fits-all concept. We're going to help you find your sweet spots, as I call it, as a leader. Where are your gifts as a leader, and how can you leverage those gifts to grow your company to the next level? We're going to look at Maxwell again. We're going to look at his 5 levels of leadership, and we're going to determine what level we're currently operating on as one who leads on purpose. We're going to talk about the foundation of a business, how to develop vision, mission, and core values in your organization. And maybe more importantly, we're going to talk about how to make that vision stick, how to get buy-in from your team and your organization. We're going to talk about the R factor. As a leader, you must have the R factor in your leadership, and we're going to discuss exactly what that is and how to develop it. And then at the end, we're going to just throw a little snippet. I know so many of you, your growth plans are centered around human resources and bringing in talent, identifying talent, skills, aptitude, knowledge. How do we bring in the right people to help us grow? We're just going to talk briefly about how to recruit and build a high-performance team. So with that said, why don't we just jump into it and talk about the difference between management and leadership. And if you don't believe me on this, you can believe Peter Drucker, who is the guru of management and leadership. And Drucker said clearly, don't confuse management with leadership. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. Many of us in our organizations right now are doing a lot of things right. We spend so much of our time doing and executing that we lack, or we are prevented from doing looking over the horizon, peering over the horizon and looking at opportunities, seizing opportunities, grabbing market share because we're too darn busy doing. And that's good. Management is doing things right is a good thing. That builds a company to a certain level and it sustains it. But leadership means doing the right things. Leadership is leading and taking your company to the next level, and that's where growth happens. So what qualities, as you lead on purpose and you take your company to the next level, what qualities must stand out in a leader? How do you guys stack up on these? Number one, you must have passion. You must believe in who you are, where you're going, and how you're going to get there. You must get up every day and just, I'm ready to go, and it must be contagious. You must have passion. You must be accountable. Accountable to yourselves, accountable to your team, accountable to your families. You do what you say you're going to do. You build trust and stability in your organizations. And maybe the third most important component of these qualities is you have a purpose. You're clear on your why. You know why your business exists. You know why you're going to do. Because when you take passion and add accountability and add purpose to that, you get what Maxwell calls influential leadership. passion, accountability, and purpose. Test yourself on the PAP score and see how you come out on that. So what is this purpose? What about why? What are we talking about when we identify our whys? Well, everybody has a different why in what they do, for what they do, and that why transfers into their purpose. Well, let me give you 9 ticklers, and you can tell me how these fit in your why you do what you do. Why does your business exist, and why do you lead? Number 1, it could be certainly personal gratification, right? We all love to do things because they make us feel good. They make us feel like we're succeeding and doing well and making contributions. It's a powerful why. It makes us feel good, personal gratification. Number 2, powerful why. Why do? We have money, material possessions, right? We love money. The money allows us the opportunities to gain those nice material possessions that we like. A lot of us have that as our why. It's more material. Number 3, we love the atta boys and the atta girls and way to go, the approval and applause from others. We thrive on that recognition. We get up every day because we want to know that we're recognized for our achievements. Those are good whys, powerful whys. I would argue from a personal standpoint, if those are your whys, are they strong enough to sustain you? And the reason I would say that, because they're feelings. Feelings are not necessarily sustainable. Feelings go away. Feelings are fleeting, as can money and material possessions be. Not bad whys, but in the long run, are they going to carry you to your destination? Number 4, fear of failure and criticism. Some of us are so darn competitive that we get up every day and we just move forward because we absolutely refuse to lose. We are scared to death to fail. A lot of people in the professional athletes thrive on this concept of success because they are afraid to fail. Criticism, loss. Number 5, survival. That's a powerful why. We get up every day for no other reason, but we have to survive. We have got to survive in our business. We have to pay the mortgage. We got to send the kids to school. We got to pay the bills. That's why we do what we do. That could be a powerful why. Personal achievement, is that one? That's one for me. That's my most popular one. I the limited gifts that I've been given, I love to challenge myself and see how far I can go. See what my limits are. And as you look at the screen, the slide on the screen, no, that is not me hanging from the mountain, from the side of the mountain. But I'm always fascinated by that picture because I look at that guy and I say, he's going to end up somewhere. The question is where. He's going to get to the top or he's going to be down the bottom. I'm not sure where. But personal achievement, that's a powerful one. It is for me. Love, we love to do what we do. We wake up because we love the people we associate with. We love the product we're delivering. We love our clients. We love our customers. We just love everything to death. Family, that's a powerful one for me. Everything I do revolves about family. My intention is to leave a legacy and be a role model for my kids and my wife. That's my why. My faith is a huge component of my why. They could be anyone for you guys, but the most important thing is to identify what it is. Have a purpose. Be clear, because without a strong why and a strong purpose, it's hard to lead with a purpose. So as you go through the process and you have the slide, take a look at those. And if you're not clear on what your why or purpose is, to maybe use those as a basis and the foundation for finding out why. Next slide we move to is, hey, leadership is not a one-size-fits-all concept. There's 4 domains of leadership that I found. And this is interesting. You look at the slide, and there's 2 leaders on the slide. And the one at the top, William Wallace, a.k.a. Mel Gibson from the movie Braveheart, isn't that our cultures in our depiction, the epitome of a leader? 13th century Scotsman who led a ragtag bunch of warriors to overthrow the English monarch. We looked at William Wallace, that type of leader. We said, that's what I want to be. That's me. Charismatic, powerful, courageous, strong. That's the epitome of leadership. And then we look at the bottom and we see Mother Teresa. Could we see two more contrasting styles of leadership? I would argue that Mother Teresa had a purpose. She had a calling. She had a strong why in what she did. Passion, accountability. Not one-size-fits-all type of leadership. 4 domains of leadership. Where do you fall? Where is your sweet spot as a leader? And my suggestion to all of you, if you haven't done it, and I know I recommend this to all my participants in the Emerging Leaders Program, take the Strength-Based Leadership Self-Assessment. There's a book out there called Strength-Based Leadership. It's a spin-off of Strength Finders. Many of you are probably familiar with Strength Finders. But through the book and through the assessment, you will find that there's 4 domains of leadership. And through the assessment, you will discover your gifts and which domain they fall under. I highly recommend it, and I highly recommend to Interise over the years that we incorporate that book and assessment into Module 1 because it's great. It helps us discover our gifts as a leader and how we can leverage those gifts to grow our company. So let's talk about these 4 domains. Number 1, there's the strategic leader. And we all, to some regard, see ourselves as strategic, the one who peers over the horizon again, who sees his market share, who can plan 5 to 10 years out. And not only can they see 5 to 10 years out, but they can plan on how to get there. They're very strategic in their leadership. They may not be one who can actually execute that plan, but they should sure plot it out, and they can sure plot out strategy to get there. Then there's those who are strong in execution. They are the doers in the organization. They may not be strong in terms of vision casting and have the ability to plot long-term vision, but give me the vision, Marty, and I'll make it a reality. I'm the doer. I'm the one who has the to-do list, and I'm done by 12 noon, and add 10 more things to it because I'm just moving forward and getting things done. I'm an execution-style leader. Then there's the influential leader. An influential leader could be someone who's not very strategic and may not be predisposed to execution, but they're passionate. They get the vision. They get the mission. They understand the values. They have a strong why, and their enthusiasm is contagious. That just through pure enthusiasm and belief, they can get people to follow them. And then there's the relational leader. A lot of us poo-poo the relational leader, right? We thought, gosh, relational leaders, that's not charismatic. That doesn't fit William Wallace. And as I go through this assessment, I see people, they take the assessment, they say, oh, Marty, I'm a relational leader. Well, good. That means you have the ability to connect people. You have the ability to take people in your organization and clients and make them feel that they are the most important person in the room. You have the ability to connect with people and put the right people in the right places in your organization. Some of us are a hybrid of these domains. Some of us are very strong strategically and strong executionally. The point is with this, guys, as you go through and discover what type of leader you are, my suggestion, which follows along the Strength Finders concept, is spend 80% of your time leveraging and developing your strengths as opposed to spending 80% of your time working on those things you're not good at. I'm a very strategic and influential leader. Those are my strengths. I am not predisposed to execution or relationship building. I spend my time building strategically and influentially. I am not going to spend all my time working on something that I really suck at and spending 80% of my time trying to work myself to a level of mediocrity. Leverage what your gifts are and utilize those gifts to take you to the next level of growth in your organization. If you have any questions about strength-based leadership, I'll take those a little later on. All righty. What is the R factor? Purposeful leaders have the R factor. What the heck is the R factor? I love this one because the R factor is all about how leaders respond. How we respond to the events, not only in our business, but our lives. My gosh, every day as a business owner, different events occur, different events happen. The outcome will be determined on how we as a leader respond. because we can't control the events and we can't directly control the outcomes, but we can control how we respond. So how does a purposeful leader affect the outcome? The simple equation, the event plus the response, heavy emphasis on the response, equals the outcome. How a leader responds means everything. So how should I respond to events? What steps can I take to be a leader who has the R factor? Let's take a look at 6 of them here. The 6 R's of a purposeful leader. Reflect before you react. Boy, does anybody else out there think at that? Because I sure did. For a lot of years, I was reactionary to everything. I didn't think much about what I did. I just did. And hence 20 years of a lot of mistakes I made over the years. One of the things I love about the growth plans, guys, is this concept of the reflection questions prior to plotting strategy and action steps. Reflect on what your strategy might be, what you learned from the module, then react. The concept of reflection requires you asking yourself questions. Number 1, I love this one. What does this event require of me? As a leader, what is required of me? Some of us don't like that pressure. If you don't, you're probably not a leader, or you shouldn't be in a leadership position. But you need to ask yourself, what does the event require of me? And I love this question, which was asked to me a long time ago when I was wavering back and forth on a decision to make in my business. When a mentor asked me, he said, Marty, what would a great leader do? What would a great leader do? Reflect before you react to the event. Have a purpose. Number 2, have a purposeful mindset. Embrace discomfort. As leaders, we regardless of how talented we are, we all love the comfort zone, right? We love to hang in that comfort zone because it's comfortable. We only do what we say. We only do what we know we can do because it's painless and it's stress-free. But a purposeful mindset allows us to embrace discomfort. The employee, our top salesperson who just took off and was hired by another company, brings us discomfort. Embrace that. Our top employee who just left, or we found out they were embezzling money. Embrace that discomfort. Embracing discomfort brings solution and growth within the organization. Purposeful leaders embrace discomfort. Number 3, you got to run. You got to run to it. Don't avoid problems. Run towards them. Here's something I find out in the Emerging Leaders Program, and maybe you guys can relate to this. Every year as we head into Module 2, the financial module, we have participants who over the years have struggled with their financials. As a matter of fact, they may not even be generating financials. Or they're not looking at the financials because they don't like what they're going to say, and they avoid it. They avoid the problem or the potential problem. They may not be generating numbers consistently, and they don't want to bring that into the financial module and be judged by the other participants. Run to the problem, don't avoid them, and meet them head on. A purposeful leader attacks problems, they don't avoid them. Be flexible. We're going to talk about this in a little while when we get the vision. When you get clarity on your vision, stay stubborn with it. But be flexible with the tactics. Be flexible how you get to the destination. Number 5, the 6 responses of a purposeful leader is be significant. This is powerful for me. Be significant in the lives of others. Be significant in the lives of those around you. As we talk about Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership, be a level 4 or 5 leader. Build trust, build compassion, mentor, coach those around you, not only in your organization but outside the business. Be significant. Be a role model for others. And number 6 are responses. Be a continuous learner, just like you guys are doing right now. On these webinars, on workshops, doing webinars, participating in the Emerging Leaders Program. Strive for everyday improvement. Continuous learners do that as a response. We all have talent. Everybody on this webinar right now has got a ton of talent, and it's a gift. But greatness is a choice. So the R factor. How you doing? How you guys doing? Do you all have the R factor? How you respond to the event will determine the outcome. So what else was purposeful leaders? Someone who's going to lead on purpose. What must they be? They must be a good listener. And boy, this is challenging, isn't it? It's challenging for a while. I know it's challenging for me. We leaders, you know, you guys that are CEOs, business owners, presidents, we're the quintessential type A personality. We don't listen very well because we're moving forward. We got people to see, places to go. We don't always have time to stop and listen. And I can raise my hand on that, and I still struggle with the concept day in and day out. But you have to listen. Purposeful leaders must become good listeners because when you stop listening, when I stopped listening, I stopped gaining wisdom. As a leader, when I stopped listening, I stopped hearing what was being said. When I stopped listening, indifference would spread throughout my organization. Team members stopped communicating. Does that ring a bell with anybody in their organization in the past, present? Leaders must be good listeners. And I'll tell you what, I have a sign that's been hanging in my office for years due to the fact that I was not a good listener. And it simply said this. It said, leaders who refuse to listen will eventually be surrounded by people who have nothing important to say. Leaders who refuse to listen will eventually be surrounded by people who have nothing important to say. It's a challenge. Listening is a challenge. Leverage those who can help you listen. If you have teenage daughters, teach them, leverage them to help you become a good listener. I do. I have 3 teenagers, 2 girls and a boy. My boy, Zach, never challenges me to listen. I ask him how school went. He comes in, he says, great, everything's cool, fist bump, end of conversation. That was effortless. Then there's days when my daughters come in. And they always come in when I'm busy and I got 100 things going on. And I make the critical mistake of asking them how their day went. And I have to listen because they start at 6 o'clock in the morning and they tell me every event that happened till 3. And they can tell when my eyes are watering or I'm looking in a different direction. And they'll tell me, eyes on me, Dad, eyes on me. And I listen and I continue to discipline myself to do it because I never want to be a leader of my family who is surrounded by teenage daughters who have nothing important to say. So leaders must be good listeners and purposeful leaders. Finally, on this topic, and you can see this has been a huge one for me, so I'm on this concept of leading on purpose are ones who listen. Purposeful leaders ask great questions, then they shut up and listen. And that's not easy for us because purposeful leaders like to talk. Purposeful leaders ask great questions and shut up and listen. So why do people follow? Why do people follow the leader? And I'll use John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership to drive home this point. And I love this concept, and I think as we go through it, discover where you are on these 5 levels. What level are you currently operating as a leader right now? Number 1 is the entry. This is the entry level. We've all stepped into level 1 at some point. We just get appointed the position of leadership. We have the right to lead. You know what? Let me tell you something else about leadership. And this might set you back a little bit, but just because you are the leader of your organization does not make you the smartest person in the room. And I would suggest to you, if you are the smartest person in the room, you may have a problem. Level 1 leadership is all about position. You have got the right to lead. People follow you because they have to. They don't have a choice. If they want to keep their jobs, they got to follow you. You have the position. You have the right to lead. You're not going to get much done in level 1. You better move up to level 2 pretty quick where you gain permission to lead. You've developed relationships. People follow you because they want to, and I'm not talking about personal relationships. I'm talking about relationships that are centered around trust and stability and compassion and a leader who does what they say they're going to do. You now have permission to lead. Number 3 is where a lot of us live right now in our businesses. We are level 3 leaders because we produce. We get results. We are results-oriented in our organization. Our people follow us because of what we have done for the organization. And that's a great place to be. That builds a business up to a sustainable, commercial, profitable enterprise. It's a good place to be, level 3, but I will suggest this. Sustainability happens at level 3. Growth doesn't necessarily happen. Mostly because you're too busy as a leader getting results and doing and producing. People follow you because of what you have done for the organization. The organization could possibly outgrow you now if you don't move up to level 4 where you're reproducing. You're actually developing people. People follow you not because of what you have, not because what you do for the organization, but what you have done for them. You are mentoring, you are coaching, there's succession planning going on. You're challenging, you're motivating, you're inspiring, and you're teaching your people to move up beyond what they believe they can be. You are developing people. You are level 4. You are significant now. Not only successful, but you're significant in the lives of your employees. And then there's the level 5, the pinnacle, where we all want to be, and you're probably at this level, you're probably not even engaged in day-to-day operations of your company, but you are respected because of the culture, the systems, the processes that you've built within your organization, and people will follow you because of who you are and what you represent. Level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where do you stack up? What level are you currently on right now? And once you identify that level, what plans do you have in place to move up to the next one? Why people follow the leader. So let's recap purposeful leadership. What is purposeful leadership? We talked about leading on purpose, and we want to know, what does it look like? Well, a purposeful leader has this. They must have passion. We talked about this passion. They must be accountable, and they must be purposeful. They must have a strong why and have clarity on doing what they do. You have to know your strengths as a leader and leverage those strengths. Don't spend all your time trying to be a leader that you are not. If you are a Mother Teresa leader, don't try to be a William Wallace leader, because you're going to spend a lot of time and energy to be something you're not ever going to be. Know your strengths as a leader. Establish a culture of continuous learning. You're doing that now. Be a leader who constantly strives for self-improvement. Ask themselves every day, what is the one thing that I can do better in the next 30 days? Establish a culture of continuous learning. Build a team not with similar strengths, but with complementary strengths. And I love this. I spend a lot of time with organizations in board development and developing board of directors, governing boards, nonprofit boards, and they're all generally formed by the CEOs of the company. And guess what I always discover, almost always, that if the CEO is in charge of building a board, those members on the board have almost similar characteristics as they do. You know why? Because the CEO, I want people just like me. If I'm strategic, I want a bunch of strategic people on my board. I don't want people that are different from me. Build a team with similar strengths, not with similar strengths, but with complementary. If you're a strategic leader, find somebody who's predisposed to execution so they can take your vision and make it real. And then you must become a great listener, because you do not want to be surrounded by people who have nothing important to say in your organization. And you must have the R factor. How will you respond to the events? And how you respond means everything in terms of the outcome. So in a nutshell, that is what purposeful leadership looks like. And what I'd like to do now, before we move on to the second segment, the foundation of a company, a business, is do we have any questions right now that we might be want to address than what we just covered. And Laura, I'm not sure how the best way to handle this. If you want me, I don't see questions, but if you can capture some, I'd be happy to talk about them.
Sure. Yeah, people can either chat in their questions or they can send in their phone numbers and we can unmute specific people. I don't see any questions waiting to be answered right now, but
okay.
Please feel free to write them in.
The only one there was an answer to Curtis. He asked about PowerPoint. Okay, good. All right, good. So we'll keep moving forward. So let's talk about this concept of vision, mission, and core values. The foundation of the business. Everything you build upon your business must have a strong foundation. One of the things everyone does before they start the Emerging Leaders program is they take a business self-assessment. Look at that self-assessment as the foundation of your business. As you go through the process and as you look at your vision and your mission and your core values, evaluate it for any cracks or leaks or crevices in the foundation, because everything, every system, every process, every organization, every department that you build on top of that foundation, if it becomes too heavy, under the foundation will crumble. And on that foundation, it consists of having vision, mission, and core values. The foundation of your organization. Let's define them. What is vision? Vision is and we got to differentiate between vision and mission, because I see this confusion quite often. Vision is very simple. It's your destination. It's where you're going to be, where you're going to end up. It doesn't speak to how you're going to get there or why you're going to get there or who's going to help you get there. It's just where you as the leader desire and want your company to be. And my definition of a strong vision is simply this. It's a visual picture, a visual of what could be, and it's fueled by your conviction and your passion of what it should be. That defines the vision. The vision is the destination. The mission is the what and the how that will bring you to the destination. Don't confuse vision and mission. Mission is how you're going to get to the destination. You may start in San Francisco and drive to New York. You have a vision of arriving in New York. The mission will tell you what route, what hotels you're going to stay through along the way, how you're going to arrive there. And finally, we have core values. The core values are simply this: what you and your organization will stand for on the journey to your destination. Clearly, a lot of people, we tend to avoid these. They're soft, they're fluffy. What's the big deal about vision, mission, core values? I got too many things going on that I have to do. Who cares about this stuff? It's critical. It's the foundation of who you are as an organization. If you want to grow, you need to have clarity in all three. So how do we do that? Let's start with vision. How do we develop vision for the organization? And here's what we got to do. You guys got to start dreaming. We get discouraged now from dreaming these days. I see it in schools. I see it everywhere we go. We don't want to dream anymore, because what if we don't hit the dream? Then we'll be disappointed, and it won't be fun. So we don't dream for fear that we may not hit it. But you have to dream, you have to vision, you have to ask yourself, what if? What if I did this? Where could I go? How far could I go? Because here's a statement that may shake you up a little bit. It didn't be years ago. It says this: when your memories exceed your dreams, the end is near. When your memories exceed your dreams, the end is near. Now, if you don't take that seriously, or you might want to take it seriously, do the little exercise of taking a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle of the paper, put memories on one side, dreams on the other, and start listing all your memories, and then start listing all your dreams. And as the memories side of the column starts to get longer and longer, and the dreams column gets shorter and shorter, evaluate. Am I dreaming enough? Where is the vision? Where do I want to take my organization? How far can I do it? And here's the key, though. Once, and we mentioned this earlier, once you get clarity on the vision, where you want to go as an organization, be stubborn with it. Don't let it go. Be stubborn with that vision, but be flexible on how you're going to get there. Don't confuse your vision with your plans. Your plans change. Your vision will remain the same. Your plans could change on a daily basis, and they should always be aligned with your vision. Be stubborn with it. Be flexible how you're going to get there. So we got vision. We got clarity. All right, Marty, I got it. I got clarity. I know where we're going. I am absolutely clear on the vision for my organization. The only challenge I have right now is I got employees who don't get it. I'm going forward 100 miles an hour, and everybody else is going sideways because they don't buy in or they don't get the vision. How do we make the vision stick and get buy-in in our organization? 4 tips on how to do that. The first one is state your vision simply. Steve Jobs, in the right-hand corner of the slide, when started Apple, had a simple vision for Apple, and it was simply this: an apple on every desk. That was the vision. He didn't say how he was going to do it. He didn't say when he was going to do it. He didn't say who was involved in making that happen. He just stated a vision simply: an apple on every desk. One of the biggest challenges, I believe, with entrepreneurs as they go through the strategic growth planning process is when it gets to the big vision, they have this desire to write a 3-page dissertation on where they're going as an organization. And the problem, and that's good because it's a good brain dump, right? You dump everything out, and now you get clarity on where you're going to go. The problem is you can never communicate it. Nobody's going to read the whole thing. I made that mistake one time, and I had a mentor who took the vision statement that I wrote, which it was about a page long, and he crumpled it up, and he says, "This is wonderful, it's great, nobody's going to read it. I'm throwing it in the trash." State your vision simply. Why? Because when you state your vision simply, it becomes memorable. They don't have to pull their business card out of their wallet to remember what the vision is. And when I say they, I'm talking about your team. They don't have to run into an office and say, "It's hanging on the wall somewhere, let me read it." State it simply, and a simply stated vision becomes memorable. And when that vision is memorable, guess what? It becomes portable. What do I mean by portable? They carry it, or everyone carries it around wherever they go. It's with me wherever we go. I know why I'm here. I know where we're going. We have a memorable, portable vision. And guess what? When the vision's portable, it becomes transferable. And the beauty of a transferable vision is the CEO, the leader, you don't have to do all the heavy lifting of communicating anymore. You got a team that's clear on it. They will communicate it to the new players on the team, the new organizations. They will repeat it, and they will remind people of where you're going as an organization. State vision simply. You want one last comment on simply stated visions? I'll tell you just a quick example. If you don't believe in the power of a simply stated vision, I'll bring you back to 2008, presidential election. Some of you may, I don't know if anybody remembers that far back. 2008, Barack Obama ran against Hillary Clinton for the Democratic nomination for president, then ultimately against McCain. Does anybody remember what Barack Obama's vision for the company? It didn't matter if you agreed with it or bought into it or not, but at this point, do you remember it? And yes, you do. It was simply this: hope and change. A simply stated vision: hope and change. Was it memorable? Absolutely. Was it portable? Certainly. He galvanized millions of people to elect and vote and elect him on the Democratic ticket. Was it transferable? Absolutely. Does anybody remember Hillary Clinton's vision? Probably not. I don't. Does anybody remember John McCain's vision back in 2008? I certainly don't. But we all remember Obama's vision. Whether we liked it or not, it was memorable, portable, transferable, and it was powerful. And it was probably the reason why he won the election. State it simply. Number 2, state your vision convincingly. State it convincingly. If you're struggling with where you want to go, ask yourself the question: what is the problem in our industry we are solving? That's why I love the part when we get into sales and marketing module emerging leaders, we have to do the customer interviews. So powerful. We actually find out what it is, what our customers value in the organization. We believe we know, and then we ask the questions, and sometimes we find out we really don't know. Define the problem in your organization. Your vision will usually be the solution to your problem. State that vision convincingly, simply, convincingly. And number 3, you got to repeat it. It's not a one-off, put it on the wall, it becomes wallpaper. A vision should be a GPS, not wallpaper. It should take you to your destination. You got to repeat it. You got to repeat it when you're recruiting. You got to repeat it at networking events, at board meetings, at team meetings, at quarterly meetings. When you wake up in the morning, when you're in the bathroom, wherever you go, you got to repeat your vision. Repeat it till it becomes part of who you are. State it simply. State it convincingly. Repeat it. A lot of companies get the first 3 and then they miss number 4, which is probably the most important. You got to celebrate vision. Once you get clarity on that vision, you got to celebrate it, and just not celebrate it. You got to celebrate it systematically. It's got to be part and parcel of your organization. It's a system and a process. Every time an individual or a department takes our company closer to the vision, we acknowledge it. We reward it. In any way your culture feels comfortable in doing. Celebrate your vision systematically, not once in a while, not one-off or when you're feeling good. Every quarter, every 6 months, whatever makes sense, but celebrate it systematically. And those of us who have pets and kids know this: what gets rewarded gets repeated. So clarity on the vision, and then you got to make it stick. And there's 4 tips on how to do just that. You got to get buy-in from your organization. And if you don't get buy-in from your organization, if they don't buy into it, good. It's a great deselection process, isn't it? Jim Collins said this: you want people get the right people on the bus. If they're not buying into your vision, do you really want them on the team? The answer is no. All right, vision, the destination. Where are we going? How are we going to get there? A mission. It's how we're going to get there. It's a good one. It's lived and breathed, and it gives foundation to the vision. It supports the vision. Peter Drucker said a mission cannot be impersonal, and it has to have meaning. Meaning has to be aligned to the vision. You have to believe in it, and you have to know it's right. So how do you develop mission? Now you know the difference between vision and mission. How do you develop a mission for your organization? Well, here's 6 tips on how you might want to do that. If you're not clear on what your mission is for your company, ask these questions. Number 1, simply a simple question: who are our customers? Who do we serve? And I will suggest to you this: all companies have 2 kinds of customers: your internal customers and your external customers. Your external ones who transact business with you. Your internal ones are your employees, your vendors, your board members. If you're in the nonprofit world, they're your volunteers. Who are our customers? Be clear on who your customers are. And number 2, what do they value? What do your customers value? Number 3, what are you trying to achieve as a business? What are we trying to do? And what results are we seeking to achieve? Number 4. These questions will help you determine, the answers to these questions will help you determine your vision. How are we going to accomplish these results? Specifically, what's the plan? And the plan should be aligned to the vision. Any goals or objectives that you have set in your 3-year growth plan, if you look at those goals, the first question you should ask: are these goals aligned to the vision? If we execute, will they take me a step closer to my vision? And if the answer is yes, they deserve to be on that plan. Now, here's the difference with vision and mission. Number 6, does your mission need to be revisited? Does our mission need to be revisited? Why? Remember, vision, stay stubborn with it. Mission are plans. Plans change. Vision remains the same. Do we need to change our mission? Do we need to change our plans? Do we need to change the route on how we get to the destination? So 6 questions you can ask when developing mission within your organization. Along the line, as you guys all know, mission revolves around goals. And why do we set goals? Why do we set goals? We set them because they create direction and focus. A lot of people don't like to set goals. They just like to do things. But here's my argument against that. If you don't set a goal, you're going off chasing bright and shiny objects. Direction and focus comes from setting goals. Movement and momentum comes from setting goals. I believe, we have Laura Lee Fortinsky on this webinar right now from Interise. I believe Laura just climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. I think she had a goal of doing that. I think, Laura, when you did that and you started focusing, going towards that goal, you got some serious direction and focus on how you were going to do it. How were you going to get there? What kind of fitness level did you have to achieve? Did you create some movement and momentum? I believe so. I believe you had laser-like focus on reaching the top and the summit of that mountain. You did it. And here's the beauty, guys. Oh, sorry.
Right. No, this is Laura Lee, and I just wanted. I mean, that really resonates with me. Particularly having direction and focus, movement and momentum, and just kind of keeping the gaze straight ahead and thinking about every step that it takes to get there.
Laura, thanks for sharing. I was hoping you'd chime in on that because I was proud of you. You did. It wasn't that amazing though. I mean, didn't it evolve this ability to have laser-like focus on where you were going to go, and did it create movement and momentum? And then it becomes. And the beauty of it is, as a leader, having direction and focus and movement and momentum becomes the leader you are. And when you lead in that way, your employees will all of a sudden become focused, have direction, have movement and momentum. So it's a powerful, powerful thing. The goals that you're setting in your growth plan, live them and breathe them, and they will take you to the vision that you're looking to get, where you're looking to go. Power and planning of written goals. Let's talk about that. Some of you may have heard of this study. Some of you may not. It's an old study, and I love it because it's powerful to me. It's called The Power and Planning of Written Goals, and let me tell you how it shakes out. The study goes, and myth or real, says back in the 1970s, the Harvard Business School graduates were surveyed, and they were asked how many had written or verbal goals. And come to find out, they found 70%, 7 out of 10 of those graduates had no written or verbal goals. Hard to imagine that an Harvard Business School graduate could not have written or verbal goals, but apparently not. 70% had none. 27% did. They actually had verbal goals. They could tell you in conversations as they were walking down the sidewalk or over beers in the local pub, I have a verbal goal. Let me tell you where I'm going. 3% had written them down. 3% written those goals down. 10 years later, they go back and they survey the same graduating class, and they found out the 3% that had written down the goals had accumulated 98% of the wealth of that graduating class. Powerful? I don't know. Writing down goals is powerful. You're writing down goals in your 3-year growth plans. They will take you to execution. You will get them done because you will have the focus and momentum to do so. So we got vision, the journey. Where are we going to go? How are we going to get there is the mission, and it's through goal setting and planning. And now we have come to core values. Core values is huge for me, and I think it'd probably be for you. So you know where you're going, how you're going to get there, but what are you going to stand for on that journey? What do you and your organization believe to be true, and what will you stand for? And more importantly, why? Now, here's my suggestion on core values, and a lot of you have them and have done very well, and you've listed them, and they're on your website or they're on your plan or they're hanging on your wall, and that's great, but you got to define them. So many companies I do see list as typical, atypical core values, honesty, success, and integrity, and those are all great, but guess what? If you have 25 people in your company, there will be 25 definitions of each one of those goals. You as the leader who leads on purpose must define those goals. What does integrity mean to you? What does success mean to you? Define those so others will know what they look like. So there you go, foundation of a strong business. Clear destination, where am I going? Clear on the mission, what will we do day in and day out to get us to that journey, to that destination? And number 3, what are we going to stand for as an organization on the way? So there you go, core values. Now we'll get close to tying this up here. So many of you I know have HR built into your 3-year plans. We need to acquire talent. We need to put the people in the right places. I need to start delegating more. What is it I'm going to delegate and why? So I can now lead instead of manage. So we could do a whole webinar on how to build a high-performance team, but we have one slide. So bear with me on this. Build a high-performance team, and these are just my opinions, and some of you guys are going to look at this and think I'm crazy or you're not going to agree with me, and that's your prerogative. But to build your high-performance team, here's my philosophy on it, and you guys can take this what you do. First of all, recruit doers, not thinkers. Recruit doers, not thinkers. Why? Because it's a lot easier to educate a doer than to activate a thinker. Now, does that mean you don't hire smart people in your organization? Absolutely not. But through your interview and screening process, they must be predisposed to execution. You bring in a lot of brilliant thinkers into your company, your organization, who are very good at plotting strategy and analyzing data and setting vision, but they're not capable of helping you take the company. They're thinkers and not doers. It's easier to educate a doer than to activate a thinker. And if you need thinkers in your organization, here's my suggestion. Hire doers and rent a thinker. Consultants, coaches, whatever you need. Don't permanently put them in the organization. That's my philosophy. You guys can take it for what it's worth. So high-performance teams, what is a high-performance team? I believe high-performance teams are comprised with extraordinary clarity around what you do, why you do it, and how you do it. And they are driven towards execution. Hire doers, not thinkers. High-performance teams are comprised of extraordinary clarity around what, why, and how, and are driven towards execution. Once you bring people and talent into your organization, know their gifts, understand their strengths, understand their desires and where they want to go in the organization, position people for their maximum impact. But if you have managers in your company and they're good at management, they may not be leaders. Don't move them into leadership positions. And conversely, if you have people that are predisposed to leading, don't put them in management positions because they're not going to be happy. Position people for their maximum impact. Number 2, give, and we've talked about this, give clarity to the vision. Make it stick. You yourself must be excited by the vision. I love asking clients who I work with or coach with, I love asking the question, what's the vision for the organization? And if they hem and haw and they're not clear, then I know the foundation's weak. But if they sit up at the edge of the chair and look me in the eye and say, Marty, let me tell you where we're going in this organization, I get excited. If they're excited, their employees will get excited. Give clarity to the vision. Clarify what and why. Once people come into your organization, be very clear on what you do and why you do it. Organize everything to the what. Your goals, and simply put, that means your goals should be aligned with the vision. Everything we do takes us closer to the vision. And as the leader, last and least, orchestrate and evaluate everything. Think of yourself as the conductor of an orchestra. You're not going to get in there and you're not going to play instruments. You are going to orchestrate. But more importantly, you're going to evaluate. You're going to evaluate data. You're going to evaluate financials. You're going to evaluate performance. You're going to evaluate opportunities because you're not too busy doing. So just a quick, brief thought on how to build a high-performance team. So we'll close up, and I want to close up with this last statement that I was told years ago, and it resonated with me. And as you move into your 3-year plans, it's food for thought, and I'll give you a little backstory on it before I get to the statement. Years ago, it was probably about 13 years ago, we were in the middle of one of our board meetings in our company, and we were in full growth mode. And all we talked about, the whole 2-hour meeting was centered around growing, getting bigger, growing, more stores, more locations. Where are we going to put them? Where are we going to go? Who are we going to bring in to help us do this? It was all centered around getting bigger. And we had a gentleman at the time who sat on our board who was at one point was in executive management with Chick-fil-A company. And he had left them, and he was gracious enough to sit on our board, and Dave was his name. Dave was pretty quiet during the whole conversation. And as we sat there and tied up the board meeting, I went up to him and asked him what he thought about this, and he told me a story. And he said, we had a similar conversation years ago in a Chick-fil-A board meeting. And Truett Cathy, who was the founder of Chick-fil-A and has since passed away a few years ago, I believe about at the age of about 95, at the time was in his early 80s, and he would sit in on the board meeting, and they would say, we never knew if he was participating or not. He always seemed like he was falling asleep. But we had centered our conversation around this concept of growing and getting bigger because there was a company, and some of you may be familiar with, called Boston Market, who was hot at that time. They've since fizzled out a bit. But they were capturing market share, real estate space, and they were growing, and Chick-fil-A, frankly, was freaking out. They're starting to capture market share. We got to start getting bigger, growing faster. And Dave tells a story. He said, Truett Cathy stood up in the meeting. He wasn't sleeping after all, and he banged his fist on the table and shouted out simply this. He said, ladies and gentlemen, it might be time to stop thinking about getting bigger and start thinking about getting better. And this was powerful. He then said, if we get better, our customers will demand that we get bigger. So as we go through these 3-year plans, and so much could be centered around growth, and it should be centered around growth, but what are the goals and strategies that we will implement that will not only help us grow, but will make us better as an organization? And those are some of the strategies that I would recommend that we look at as we execute those 3-year plans going forward. So that is all I have. We finished in record time, I think. I hope it was valuable to you guys, and I am willing and able to take questions or respond to anybody if they have them right now.
Marty, we did get a question in a little while ago asking what is the best way to learn your strengths as a leader?
Best way to learn your strengths as a leader. There are 2 things on it. Number one, you probably have a conception, perspective of what kind of leader you are. I would strongly suggest go out. Amazon has it. You can get it on Amazon. Get the book, Strength-Based Leadership. It's a Gallup study. It's a spin-off, as I said earlier, of Strength Finders. And read. I recommend this. Don't take the assessment until you read the book. The assessment will have more. The results of the assessment will have more meaning to you if you read the book first. Read the book. Take the assessment. You will get a report of your top 5 strengths as a leader. Those top 5 strengths will fall under those 4 domains we talked about earlier: strategic, execution, influence, and relational. You probably will end up being a hybrid of 1 or 2 of those domains. Many leaders find out that they're very, very strategic. 3 or 4 of their top 5 strengths as a leader are strategic. Sometimes you find that 2 are strategic and 2 are influence, and 1 is relational, but I have nothing under execution. that may tell you as a leader you need to surround yourself with people who are doers or are strong and predisposed to execution. So strength-based leadership, highly recommended. Probably run you $14 on Amazon. Do the assessment, and frankly, if you do the assessment and it makes sense to you, email, call me, and I'll help you go through it. I've done a million of them. I've done a bunch of them, and I live and breathe by this book. I ask all my coaching clients to do it before we even start. Is that helpful?
Yes, we got some positive comments about it in the chat section. We also got one more question. How do you maintain momentum on your vision during hard times?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh, I see that. That's from one of our Los Angeles participants, Fabiola. How do you maintain vision? You got to stay stubborn, Fabiola. You got to have clarity on it, and there's times where that vision is going to beat you down. You're going to feel like, did I dream too big? Is it real? Can I get there? Remember, you got to stay stubborn with it. You got to believe in it. And if you stop believing in it, if you are starting to become skeptical, you can believe that those people that you've associated yourself with will start to become skeptical too. You got to stay stubborn with it and keep focus on it. Repeat it, live it, celebrate it, and breathe it. Easier said than done, I know, but that's the best thing I can tell you is don't give up on it if you believe it. Hope that helps, Fabiola.
Great. And we just got a couple more questions in. The first one is, are you able to have a gut feel when you meet someone if they are a purposeful leader, or does it take time?
I think it depends on the person. If you're very intuitive, honestly, let's see who asked. I'm not sure who I can address who asked the question.
That was Jean Wright.
I'm sorry?
It was Jean Wright.
Jean, yeah. Jean, I was one of those people, and maybe you are too, who you can tell and you go with your gut. It's not always right, but you find more often than not it is. But it does take time. I think you go through the assessment process with them. You ask a lot of questions of them based on leadership, basically on what they're going to do and how they perceive others. You can tell if you can ask questions around: are they relational? Are they passionate? Do they believe in what they're going to do? Do they have a strong constitution or strong core values in who they are? Simple questions that might give you an idea, but I'll tell you, if you like your gut and you're an intuitive kind of person, I would guess that 90% of the time your gut's going to give you the right answer.
Great. So we have one more question here. Scott is asking about one of his employees, a chef, who has been asking Scott for trainings and books to help him work on his leadership. The staff member is not, he has a lot of positive attributes, but leadership of staff is not one. So Scott is asking for advice on how to help his employee in his own search for becoming a better leader.
Well, Scott, I would suggest, again, I'll go back to strength-based leadership. First of all, if he's looking to improve his leadership, assess where he feels he's weak in, number one. But more importantly, what are his gifts as a leader? What strengths does he have as a leader? Is he a strong communicator? Is he very relational? Is he very strategic? Is he a doer? There's, a lot of times those who score high on the execution component of this assessment, Scott, more times than not, they're probably predisposed to managing and not leading. They tend to want to do and do and do. They struggle with delegation. They struggle with developing confidence and allowing people to make mistakes on their own, and they feel like they have to step in and take charge of every little detail, be a micromanager of sorts. That could be one way to tell them, do you have somebody who's a better manager than a leader, and you're trying to make a leader out of a manager? Doesn't always work. But yeah, strength-based leadership, I'll go back to that, but there's a ton, absolute ton of business books out there. Maxwell writes great entry-level books on leadership and how to discover who you are as a leader, how to communicate. I can't tell you the names. I know Interise has a great resource of leadership. I believe, is it on the alumni resources site? But there's a whole bunch of books out there on leadership, and I would suggest you peruse that site, and you probably found a good one. But first, find out what kind of a leader he is, and have him take the strength-based leadership assessment.
Great, and yes, we do have a list of books and resources available on the Interise Connect Alumni Network site.
Good deal.
Those are all of the questions that have been sent in, but please feel free to contribute more questions if you have any.
Absolutely, and if you think, if anybody on the webinar thinks of a question or a comment, has a comment after the fact, after we hang up, by all means, email me. I believe my email address is available somewhere. I'm not sure how, I guess, is it on the site? How would they be able to contact me, Laura, if they wanted to?
I can include it with the recording when I post it if you'd like.
Oh, that would be good. If you have any questions or any comments or thoughts on that, don't hesitate to email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can on those.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, Marty, for doing such a great job.
Loved it.
And as we've mentioned before, we'll be posting the slides and the recording on Interise Connect, so you can all listen again if you would like to. So thank you all, and have a great rest of the day.
All right. Take care. Thanks, guys.